Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, we are now in the aftermath of NXT Vengeance Day. A lot of things can happen. As you know, we have a brand new NXT Women's North American Champion. Oba Femi retained the belt. But however, the aftermath does not end there. We're still dealing with the recent attacks that took place, of course, at Vengeance Day. Will it repeat itself again? Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, the 10th anniversary of Yoshi wrestler Maya Yukihi. So basically, she put out a self produced show celebrating 10 years as a pro wrestler. So you have many wrestlers, not only from the Yoshi scene, but also from other places. The main event featured her teaming up with the Golden Star himself, Kota Ibushi, where they face, of course, Hikaru Shida and someone who we haven't seen for a while, but Matt Jackson used to dislike them, Michael Nakamura. So that's right. So he's there too. And also, we're going to be capping up our episode with some news updates, giving you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world, pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you guys like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all pleasantries have been said. I believe it's time to get the show on the road. So let's begin, of course, with the Mayuhiki 10th anniversary show. Back then, now in the futures. So let's get started. Okay, the Mayuhiki 10th anniversary. Back then, now, and in the future. This took place recently on this past Saturday in Korakuen Hall on the 15th of February. Now, if you guys are new to this channel or in pro wrestling in general, let me give you guys a general description who Mayuhiki is. Mayuhiki is a Yoshi wrestler who has wrestled for almost 10 years, but she's been known to wrestle, of course, in promotions like Ice Ribbon, Oz Academy, but primarily only those promotions. But many of you may or may know this. Some people were they remember her name because some people put her that she's on the category that she and Julia never got along. So that's a long story in itself. But Mayuhiki is a fantastic wrestler. She has been around for many years. She has played both heel and face on many occasions. She does speak fluently in English, in case anybody asks. She has wrestled here in the U.S. on with Sukeban, and of course, a few years back, she had a match against Joan Kiona during a Deadlock Pro Wrestling event. So yeah, so basically that's how it was. But this was her self-produced show. But however, recently she's been out of action for a couple of months due to a injury on her arm, which was right here, guys. Like, and you can still see the scar if you get close enough. But yes, but this show is very special to celebrate her 10th anniversary. So let's get started with it as we move along. Now, our first match we have Honoka. She teams up with a girl I don't know. Her name is Hiro E. They take on Natsu Surime and Rina Yamashita. Now, of course, when it comes to Surime Natsu, she's very methodical using her whip all the time. So she uses that, but she was the one who picked up the win on Hiroi, and just like that, it was over. Just 1, 2, 3, match done. Now, our next match, we had a battle royal with various wrestlers, but here's the kicker that many people are going to love. Everybody participating in the battle royal, well, they were all dressed up like Mayuhiki, wearing the outfits she wears. So we had wrestlers like Fuminori Abe. I thought he looked good at it, even though he looked like he was a drag queen. Um, Hikaru Sato, um, Akino, Ram Kaicho, Saudi Anu. But here's the thing: the battle royal wasn't happening in the ring. They basically went outside the ring and it continued on wherever they were at the entirety. They did appear at one match, but if you guys want to know who actually won the battle royal, well, it was Sayuri Anu who picked up the win. So she walked away from it. But I thought it was very interesting for that, you know. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this. If you I did listen to this in a English commentary. So just to let you guys know. Now our next match, we have a bit of a men's versus women's type of match. On the men's sides, we have Yumihiro Inamari, Kaji Tomato, and Antonio Hana taking on Itsuki Aoki, Ryo Mizunami, and Sonoko Kato. So of course, it's kind of interesting to have like the boys versus the girl type of matches. So I thought it was very interesting. But when it comes to Antonio Honda, you know that he's going to do his little storyline wise, as always, which he's been known for many years. And of course, he did that because he actually put um what's her name, Aoki, in a bridge, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Give me a second, guys. I need a bit of a drink here. My throat's kind of dry. Feel good. Anyway, let's move on. Our next match, we have, of course, a three-way tag match. We have the Speed of Sounds, Banana Saigo, and what's his name? Tsutomu Osugi. Hopefully I pronounced it right. They take on Yankee to Kenji, consisting of Aizama Kodaka and Yuki Miyamoto, and of course, two people dressed up as Mayuhiki and Risa Sera. Anru had the pleasure to dress up like Risa Sera, while I don't know, this guy named is Konaka. He dressed up like Mayuhiki. So I thought it was a pretty good moment. But you probably ask yourselves, why did they dress up like those two? Well, here's the thing. If you guys know this, Risa Sera and Mayuhiki were known as Asule Revolution or something like that. They were a very dominant tag team back in Ice Ribbon when both ladies were in Ice Ribbon together, but they're in their separate ways. They are both freelancers going on and about it. But the match was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. But this match ended with, of course, Banana doing a jackknife on the on Onru when he on him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 was done. Our next match, we have Kageru Utami Ayashida and Risa Sera. They take on Dashizako, Mai Sakurai, and Drag Warrior Koda. Now, it's interesting to see that you got members from the, of course, Mighty Gold be involved, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, so I wasn't too sure. But the one thing that was funny is, what's her name? Kageru accidentally miscue when she whacked Utami and Risa Sera with the little toy of hers. You know, one of those things where they warn you there's a slippery floor. Well, she did that, but it was that Shizaka who put her away with the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. It was over. Our next match, we have singles action. We have, of course, Akito versus Dick Togo. Yeah, the same Dick Togo who's hanging out with the House of Losers. So he's in this match. But however, of course, like any other type of match, he attacked them before the end of the match. But man, Akito did everything possible. But however, of course, he also did remove the corner buckles, and just like that, it was over. So Dick Togo picked up the win when he applied the jackknife. 1, 2, 3 was done. Now, before our main event, we had a surprise video message from Kenny Omega. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Why is Kenny sending a video message? Well, it turns out, those who know this, let me give you a brief update. When Kenny was in Japan all those years ago, he actually knew someone who actually used to run Ice Ribbon, and that person was Emi Sakura. And he mentioned about the bruises she had when she started out. So he was making reminiscences about the past, which is cool. So it was great. Now let's get to the match. Our first we have Michael Nakazawa. Man, I haven't seen that guy in years. He teams up with Hikaru Shida. They take on Kota Ibushi and the Lady of the Hour, Mayuhiki. Now it's interesting in this match. You have 3 wrestlers who are part of AEW. Well, yeah, Kota Ibushi is, but we haven't seen him for quite some time. But yes, but this is how this match ends. Kota Ibushi confronts Michael Nakamura, who they know each other back in DDT, but it was Ibushi who picked up the win in 6 seconds flat with a lariat, and just like that, it was over. But however, Michael Nakazawa was not happy that this match ended in 6 seconds like that. But of course, Mayuhiki decided, what the hell, let's restart. And that's exactly what was happening. It was a pretty good match, not gonna lie. Not to mention, of course, Michael Nakazawa, who you all know the type of person he is. But in the end, he actually pulled out his underwear, which was disgusting. He even took out everybody, even the seconds who were involved in this match. So that kind of went out in a good way, in a good way as well. But yeah, so uh, so there's that. But it was Michael Nakazawa who picked up the win when he applied a no. It was Shida who walked away with the win when she applied a knee strike onto of course Mayuki, and just like that, it was over. But however, there was a pretty good post match. It happened, but I wasn't too sure if I heard this right. Hopefully I'm wrong. Kota Ibushi has asked her if she would like to come down to AEW, and this was something I remember a couple years ago when after AEW was launched, she talked about she would love to go to AEW, because she can speak English as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So we'll see. Now, I want to go back to something, guys. I messed up. I just went back on my notes and I realized I missed a match. There was a match between Hiroyo Matsumoto, Lady Destroyer, versus Shuji Ishikawa, but there was a moment in the match where Chi-Chi, who was part of Revolution, was helping Ishikawa. No kidding, because hell, she looks up to Ishikawa as a mentor and a father. So she would do anything for him, but this match ended with splashbound by Ishikawa onto Matsumoto. So yeah, so sorry about that. Good thing I remembered that I might have missed a match. But that's what really happened. So if you guys want to ask me how I was able to watch this, I just looked it up online, guys. Uh, so just look it up on other locations. So that's pretty much it. So for now, I think we are done with this. Let's move on with NXT. Okay, NXT. Well, as you all know, we are now in the aftermath of what happened in Vengeance Day. So a lot of things happen. Now, Obafemi comes out to do a promo. Now, of course, we are all excited that he retained the belt, but there was one thing, of course, that was still on the mind, was the unprovoked attack by the four assailants. Yeah, James Cutler, Dion Lennox, and the two others. I don't know who they are. But however, as soon as he was looking for a fight, well, it looks like one was coming his way, all the way from TNA, and no one expected it. That's right, the NXT X Division champion, Moose. So most likely we probably will see that match at some point, and I think many fans are excited to see this partnership between NXT and TNA going well. And I'm sure many WWE haters are saying, well, at least something was done right because AEW didn't do it. Guys, a lot of mistakes were made from that, okay? I'm not taking nothing away from nothing, but don't bring that up. AEW will get back together, at the top, okay? So it'll take time. Now, our next match is a number one contendership for the NXT Women's Championship. We have Jada Parker versus Carmen Petrovic versus Kelani Jordan. Now, of course, we know there's no love lost between, of course, Jada Parker and Kelani Jordan. That's obvious because they've been going at each other for quite some time. So a lot of things happened. Now, this match seemed it was going to go to Jada Parker, but luckily Carmen Petrovic took the advantage while Jada Parker was gloating. She was unaware that Petrovic applied a jackknife on Jordan, and just like that, it was over. 1, 2, 3. But of course, Parker was not happy with how the results then. But once again, Kelani Jordan and Parker got at it at each other. Now, of course, in the ring, we did see what's their name? Shauna D. Adonis celebrating the victory with Carmen Petrovic until they were viciously attacked by none other than Fatal Influence. Because as you probably can guess, I'm sure Fallon Henley is, crying like a big baby that she lost the North American title, and she's trying to provoke to ensure that Carmen Petrovic does not get a shot. But luckily, the the NXT Women's Champion and the Women's North American Champion, Julia and Stephanie Vakir, stood up against them. But it was still the numbers game until that's right, Jordan Grace showed up. So it became a fair on fight. So Jordan Grace just went to the point. Let's make a fight, and it became official. So I think that match was our main event. Let me look at my notes. Yep, it was our main event. So we'll get to that. Now, of course, as you probably know, Eddie Thorpe was talking to Ava because, of course, Eddie Thorpe feels like now I'm getting the opportunities because I defeated him. So that's what happened. But however, Kale Dixon and Uriah Faber were looking for a DJ to try to revive the Chase University, but it did not happen. So basically, of course, Eddie Thorpe was trying to bring him down once again. Now, with the dawn of NXT out of commission, uh, Rizzo and of course Luca are concerned over Stax's decision to go up ahead with Sean Spears, but he knows what he has to do. He feels he owes it to the Don, so he has to take matters in his own hands. Now, our next match, we have Lash Legend Jakara Jackson taking on Zaria and Soruka. Now, remember, guys, there was a bit of tensions between both sides, not because of the lack of difference. Soruka and, of course, Zaria were saying that you guys didn't get the job done when it came to the women's tag team titles. But however, of course, Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, and Tatum Paxton saying, hey, at least they were the ones that had the balls to speak up on it. So basically, Lash Legend Jakara Jackson appreciate them saying, you're right, we did step up. They haven't. So that kind of puts it in a very perspective. So now we get to these two that were dealing their business. So I wasn't too sure how this was going to be, but it was Soruka who picked up the win when she applied the Snow Snatcher on Jakara Jackson. Now I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a feud between these two teams, but we'll see. Now, Sarah decides to conduct an interview with Wes Lee about what their plans are now, but she was she eventually got distracted with the arrival of Ricky Starks, now goes by Ricky Saint, and of course that's when things got a little interesting. Now, as you know, Ava had the contract signing with Ricky Starks, but he was interrupted by Ethan Page, and of course Ethan Page brought on Javon Evans. Javon Evans, well, he took him out. Then Wes Lee showed up. because he felt that he was being upstaged and he feels threatened that someone like Ricky Starks is going to ruin his plans. He tried to wipe him out, but Ricky Starks, well, he's not an idiot. He knew what was coming, so that what happened. Now we did see a little interview with, of course, with Fraxium, you know, about the recent attacks that happened this past at Vengeance. If you guys remember, they defeated Inamura and Briggs, but of course, No Courage Catch Crew decided to confront them. But however, this is where things got a little interesting. Fraxium, as you know, saying, you guys haven't proven enough to challenge us for these belts. But they were saying, we're not talking about you guys. We're talking about the GOATs. And they were referring to the Hardys. So they issue a challenge to them for the TNA the tag team belts. But the obvious question is, will they respond? We'll get to that in a bit. Now, but one thing is interesting. I think Fraxium were like, what the hell just happened? Like, they just realized that they were overlooked, saying, we weren't talking about you guys. We were talking about the GOATs. Because they're saying, you guys are not even in their level. Now, Lexus King, as you know, runs into Moose and all that, and he tells him, look, I understand you have this thing called the system, okay? I respect that. I understand that. But however, when you guys come here to our neck of the woods, you're trying to take everything that's ours. So Moose was telling him, how about this? Next week, I put my X Division title. How's that? So basically, it's going to happen, and it's official. Now, our next match, we have Andre Chase versus Eddie Thorpe. So basically, this is what happened. But apparently, we did see some students of Chase U just showed up out of nowhere. We all know what happened to Duke. He's gone. We don't know about Riley Osborne or Thea Hale. But all of a sudden, things didn't go exactly Andre Chase's way. He ended up losing. But all of a sudden, in the post-match, well, Trick Williams showed up in the screen telling him that this is not over yet between them. Now, while they're having a nice conversation, Ava and Ricky Starks were talking, and then all of a sudden, Wesley and Ethan Page showed up, and so did Javon Evans. So Ava decided, how about this? Ricky Starks and Javon Evans team up to take on Wesley and Ethan Page. So this is going to be a very interesting match. Now, the question you ask yourselves is question. Will the Hardys respond to the challenge by North Quarters Catch Crew? Well, they eventually said, why not? Let's make it happen. So, challenge has been accepted. Now, our main event, we have Stephanie Vakir, Jordan Grace, and Julia taking on the full force of Fatal Influence. But of course, you probably can guess what does Fatal Influence have now. I'm sure they're still dealing with the disarray of losing the North American title out of their possession. But, of course, it was Jordan Grace who picked up the win onto Jasmine Nix with the Juggernaut driver, and just like that, it was over. Now, you can tell that Jordan Grace, she's a bit more like tense, who she will challenge. Will it be Stephanie or Julia? But that doesn't matter. I think the real question we ask ourselves, we see now that the women's division in NXT is better than ever. But the night wasn't over. As you know, the recent attack that took place back in Vengeance Day, well, it happened again, but this time Ava's office was trash, but it wasn't the only thing that was trash. Mr. Stone was beaten up, so basically things are becoming chaotic. So the real question is, what's Ava going to do now? This has gone long enough, and I'm sure this has to end one way or another. So we will see what she has in store. I'm sure there's going to be security type of deal what just took place. So we'll find out next week. But for now, we are done with all the reviews. Let's move on, of course, with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. Now, I got a lot coming from Wrestling Revolver on their updates for their upcoming events all the way to April. So let's get started with that. Now, on March 6th, they'll have their show called No More Sorrow. This one features a lot of matches and participants. Now, the Wrestling World title will be defended. Myron Reed will take on Zachary Wentz. The Revolver World Tag Team titles, Alpha Sigma Sigma will defend their belts against First Class. Remix title will be defended. Crash Jackson defends his belt against Alan Angels, formerly known as Five. Deonna Purrazzo and Rachel Armstrong will battle out. This is their first time ever match. And here are the participants. We have Dante Leon and BDE. They call him the YouTuber sensation. And of course, Killer Kelly. It's great that she's coming back. If many of you don't know, Killer Kelly was out of action due to the fact that she was on maternity leave. As you probably know, I'm not sure if they're married or not, but she's in a relationship with Myron Reed. So it's great that she's returning. And then on the 22nd of March, they have the Goated show. Moose and BD were been announced for that one. And then on April, for the Chicago show, that'll be their first time appearance on April 5th. This is what they announced. Gringo Loco versus Rich Swann. And here are the participants involving in this. We have Elijah, or formerly known as Elias, Moose, BDE, Jessica Havoc, and the Rascals. And then finally, on the 12th of April, Unreal in Richmond, Virginia, the faction known as Macombre featuring Gia Miller, Cruel, Dreadnought, and Havoc will be involved. Cold Roderick and Killer Kelly will be participating. Now on for GCW updates that, as you probably know, March 1st in LA, they'll have the coldest winter. The JCW World Championship will be defended. Masha Slamovich defends her belt against Super Crazy. And then we have the Just Being Honest show in Phoenix, Arizona on the 2nd of March. Mance Warner takes on Zack Sabre Jr. So that's going to be fun. And then, of course, another debut show will happen in June on the 20th in Little Rock, Arkansas. So that's going to be interesting. Now, Combat Zone Wrestling has announced for their 26th anniversary later on this month on the 22nd of February. They just announced Zeta Steel versus Zara Zacher. Now, I'll put this up because you probably don't know this. Zara Zacher is part of the WWE ID prospect group. And I think Zeta Steel too. So basically, you got two WWE ID prospects facing off each other. For the Canadian promotion, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Mayhem, that happened in March, in the 14 and 15 in Ontario, they announced Blake Christian will be participating. Then we have the House of Glory City of Dreams on the 15th of March. We have the tag team titles will be defended, but it will be a 2 out of 3 falls match. But also the stipulation, career versus title. So basically, main event put their careers on the line and they'll take on CBK. I don't know who these guys, but I know that they're in league with Charles Mason. So that pretty much is what I know. Now, we do have the Prestige Wrestling Nothing to Lose event on the 17th of April. The Inspiration, or formerly known as the Iconics, will be wrestling against Nicole Matthews and Kylie Ray. Michael Oku will take on El Phantasmo, and then, of course, participating, Matt Brennigan. So that's pretty much the upcoming events from here on out, going all the way to April so far. Not April, but everything else has been announced. So let's start with developments. TNA has announced that they signed Mackenzie Mitchell as their ring announcer. She's been doing ring announcing for quite some time, I think for a couple of weeks or so, but yes. PW Insider just revealed that JDC, also known as Fandango, has been working in TNA as a producer. He produced fights in Impact and Explosion, so there's that. Now, interesting news. I don't know what you guys would think of this, but as you know, there's going to be a tournament for across the top independent promotions for the WWE ID championships. So basically, WWE going to have like titles that would be defended in the independents or so for the WWE. I don't know exactly what it is, and I'm assuming that this is only for both men and women. So that's my perspective right there. Now, Michael Cole kind of talked about the terrifying bump about JD McDonagh. Let me pull that up for all of you guys for what he said, and I'm sure from his perspective it must have been horrifying. Not gonna lie. So let's see. This is what he said, and this was on Impulsive. I thought he was dead. I really did. He came off that ring and hit the desk so hard it moved our desk back, and I was seriously thought he was dead. Come to find it later, he had, but he didn't really hit his head. He just broke his ribs and punctured his lung, and he went and finished the match another 10 minutes. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you were sitting close and you thought in your perspective what you thought it was, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, it will look like exactly what it is from your point of view, but I'm sure that's a vision that you probably will never get out of your heads. One thing I don't like, guys, is seeing things that will make me. Ugh. The first time that ever happened to me, it was when my brother, who was doing one of those, he was an amateur wrestler throughout his high school years, and his bone from his knee popped out, and I saw it, and I kind of like looked the other way because I did not want to look at it. It's disgusting. And the same thing happened a few other times. I just can't stand looking at it. So yeah, but I can relate what from his point of view what he's saying. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it right now for what we have for our news updates and everything else. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, you probably know we have AEW Dynamite. It's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to come off after what happened of course, in Australia, and a lot of things are going to take place. So we don't know. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be reviewing. I'm sure there's a lot of wrestling shows that I missed out, so I may have to make some judgment calls on certain ones. So we'll see what happens. But for now, we'll leave things as it is and we push forward. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.